Hello, ending scene tubers, and welcome back to Let's See What We Can Do After Defeating Kefka. Last episode, we had a great fight, beat up Kefka, and now his tower's breaking apart. Oh look, Gogo and Setzer made it. I guess Setzer stayed on the airship and, kept it nearby for this exact moment. And Terra, well, I was gonna say she was gonna fly us to safety, but remember that thing about the goddesses being the source of magic? Yeah. That's probably not good for half-espers. But what happened to everyone? The ending song includes everyone's theme and is my favorite ending theme of any game ever. Cyan as Scion Garamonda. I'm sorry I didn't get to bring him to the final battle. I had him as backup, but his Tempest would have been real good at that last phase. Switch is far too much for one samurai. Hiya! Setzer as Setzer Gabiani. My vote for weakest character in the run, other than maybe Gogo. Weakest main character. I probably just didn't find the right way to deal with him. I like his character, I just don't like his battle ability. Always the gambler. Ah, the coin. Edgar as Edgar Roni Figaro. And Sabin, the other head of the coin, as Sabin Rene Figaro. Still get chills for this part. Music. To be honest, Edgar's pretty strong too, as it turns out, but different kind of strength. Hey, it's Mog. As Mog. He wasn't too bad. The dances were fun, and not losing control of him was pretty cool in Brave New World. He just wasn't as good as Edgar, in my opinion. This again, always hanging from a cliff, huh? What kind of Dragoon are you if you can't jump and fall safely? That's why he's probably got like a fear of heights when it comes right down to it. Just never quite got over it. The head ball? Oh yeah. Moogles with their little head fuzzball things. Don't ask me. Yumero as Yumero. But even he gets a theme song, because it's the best RPG ever. Barely has a backstory. I was pleasantly pleased by how strong he was in Brave New World, and more useful than I remembered in the original. So, at least bringing along the muscle was fun for once. Non-controllable characters are tricky, but still did pretty well. Go-Go, though, I'll admit I didn't really give much of a chance. I tried to demonstrate a couple episodes, or once or twice, that... Note that little red flash there. There's some interesting fan theories about who Go-Go is. I think they've been mostly debunked by now, but I'm not going to spend much time on it. Unfortunately, Go-Go, I never really found a great purpose in this playthrough. Because he's controllable, he may have been better than Gao. But he doesn't really bring anything unique. He only brings what the rest of the party can do. So if you've got really strong party that you put him in, he's also pretty good. Except for that. The magic helmet that kept us safe through Serpent's Trench. Gao as Gao. See, if I was really smart, I'd have timed up the images on the left to match, but that's too much work. Now, I like Gao, and I think his ability is quite unique. If it was a more modern, like if they ever make a really good modern remake of Final Fantasy VI, they need to show in-game, like a sub-menu for all of his rages that explain what they do, and what status effects and elements they sort of have. Just so it's a little, you don't need to have like a spreadsheet beside you when you play. That's what I need for Gao. Anyway, Locke as Locke Cole. Turned out to be one of my strongest physical hitters, actually. That was pretty cool. And Celeste as Celeste Cher. Does Locke get over his dead girlfriend? Does Celeste realize she's not just a weapon? She's infused with Magitech as well, but I guess she doesn't have the half-Esper problem. And there's that bandana. Always with the girls falling to their doom, Locke. Oh, that's a pretty valuable bandana. You remember the beginning of the World of Ruin. Less so if you kept Sid alive, I guess, but... Terra. As Terra Brandford. Still unresolved. Apparently burning the last of her abilities to get the team to safety, though. Yeah, remember these canisters, containment facilities? I pointed them out the first time through the Magitech research facility. This is likely where Meduin and Ramu and all of them were locked up. If her human heart has a reason to stay. Well. Realm as Realm Aronwi. Still missing that father figure. But she's got a grandpa. They would have done quite well against Kefka as well, I think. I didn't really get a chance to try them out, but some of those lures and like Flare and Meteor would have been pretty strong, I think. Not quite Ultima or Murton, but they would have been good second ringers, I think, if I needed them. And then, of course, Shadow. Maybe actually Clyde. Probably actually Realm's father. He always goes his own way, though. And his best boy. So where does Shadow go after this? Goes after Billy. He did his job, helped save the world, and I think that's as far as his quest takes him. Unfortunately. I'm sure Interceptor will find his way to Realm. Stragomagus. Worked so hard to get all those lures, and I barely used them in the final dungeon. A couple of them. He turned out better than I was expecting. Lures have always been kind of hit or miss for me, so it's nice to see, even though he doesn't have a huge number of them, they're pretty useful. Look at him, old man still jumping around. And you, viewer, thank you for coming along. To the airship! The last Magicite. Now, I like to imagine she's sort of carving a tunnel for them or something. Sort of using her magic to shield the airship as she flies their way out. But Espers aren't long for this world. She does have someone to go home to, though. Oh, spoilers incoming. If you ever plan to play Brave New World. But yes, Katrin has her baby. Everyone else, except for the optional characters in Shadow. Turns out he can fly an airship, even if he can't fight Kefka. And we still have the only airship in existence, so we're still doing pretty well. And that, everyone, is the end of Final Fantasy VI. I hope you've enjoyed the ride. It is still my favorite RPG video game of all. I mean, there's a lot of close contenders, and I have quite a lot of games I enjoy, but this is still my absolute number one. And I really enjoyed going through it for the Let's Play. I mean, obviously, with the Brave New World patch, some things were changed from the original, but overall, the story and everything are the same. So if you enjoyed the story and the general gameplay of this Let's Play, you'll enjoy Final Fantasy VI, the vanilla version, without any doubt. I don't want to speak about Final Fantasy VI too much, other than there's not a weakness to it that I can really point out that I can't handle. Overall, it's just my favorite game, and there's many, many reasons, and I'm sure people more eloquent than I have spoken of them to great lengths, so I'll leave it at that. As far as Brave New World is concerned, I wanted to give it a little bit more of a review at the end here, because it's kind of the twist for this series. I would still recommend it if you've played Final Fantasy VI before. If you've never played Final Fantasy VI, I'd still say play the original game or the vanilla game first. There's a version on Steam. I think it's on Virtual Console by now, probably. There's a remake on the Game Boy Advance that has an optional dungeon if you'd like that sort of thing, although I think it adds a few bugs, but that's fine. If you like the Super Nintendo version, I'm sure you can figure out an emulator or something. There's quite a few versions anyway, and they're all close enough that I'd say pick whichever one you prefer. But it's a great game. But if you've played it a lot, if you're very familiar with the game and you like it, and it's one of your favorite games perhaps, I would suggest giving the ROM hack, Brave New World, a try. I mean, you saw me play through it, hopefully. For the most part, I definitely would say it's an improvement. It's got some ups and downs. I generally appreciate the changes to the script. For the most part, the script is pretty true to the original translation, but there's been a few touch-ups here and there, and I thought they were pretty well done. Between pretty well to quite well, like really, really quite well, professional-looking updates. My only concern, and I know the developers of Brave New World know as well, but the contentious part is the swear language, the swear words, the adult language. And I'm okay with it to a point, but I think they crossed the line in a few areas where people like Realm... I feel like, although they... Like, again, most of the game, if you took a random section of the script, you probably wouldn't even see anything. It's just there's a few times where it pops out and it's kind of jarring, and for me at least, it kind of derails me from the characters a little bit. Other than, there's some situations where a couple are fine, especially when it's like the Imperial soldiers just messing around, having a couple curse words there is kind of understandable. It's more annoying when it's one of the main characters. You kind of associate a little bit more personality to. But all in all, it's not like a deal breaker, but you know, it's got some improvements, got a couple things that might be a problem. The gameplay mechanics changes I generally quite appreciate. The Esper levels, the changes in who can equip what Esper. I think those are all actually good changes. I wish it wasn't quite as restrictive. Instead of having like 2 Espers for certain characters, I wish it was like 3 or 4. Like, a lot of Espers only have 1 or 2 people that can equip that specific Esper. I would kind of like it if it was a little bit more relaxed. It's not a big deal, but I found it sometimes a little bit, like, the way, like, Gal has limited access to certain stats for 75% of the game. I think he'd be more viable if he had access to something that gave him HP or just different stats. That's just my opinion. Obviously, balancing the characters is a lot of work, but I would appreciate it if it was a little bit different, but all in all, it's good, you know. I think the overall difficulty is fine. It's a little bit more difficult than the original game. There are a few points where I think it could still use some more fine-tuning. Specifically, enemies that can X-zone your entire party to death, and status ailments to the full team that can confuse or muddle you at a time in the game where it's difficult to have any protection from that. That might be a little bit over the top. It's not like... Again, I think it's overall not a big deal. A couple deaths during the playthrough of the RPG is not a bad thing, but when they feel too cheap or that you didn't have any control over them, that's when it starts to cross the line in my books. Again, it's all fan-made mods, so you get what you get, and you don't get upset. But no, seriously, I think it's mostly fine. It's just, hopefully as time goes on, instead of focusing all their efforts on making the mod appeal to hardcore Final Fantasy VI enthusiasts, they remember that some casual players don't like it too difficult. So there's Katherine's baby. It took a little while, but we made it. Who doesn't love the Final Fantasy prologue theme? Prelude, I believe, isn't it? After all that, Terra survives and says hello to her children. Mog's just having a nap. People rebuild, and life continues on. Kefka could not stop life. This is why I think this game has a better ending than other Final Fantasies, like 7, for instance. It goes into more it's less of a vague ending. It gives you a very clear picture of what you accomplished by defeating the big boss. The heroes survive for the most part. Shadow's fate is a little bit in question. But you see the world begin to revive. Pretty much everyone has a plan on where they want to go, what they want to do next. You're not left wondering where your team goes at the end of this game. You pretty much know what they're all going to do. There's very few plots left unfilled. Or questions left unanswered. That's why I don't think there'll ever be a sequel to Final Fantasy VI. There's just not anything left unsolved. Which is why it's such a legendary game, of course. I have a hard time imagining another video game will quite meet the score of this game either. Nobuo Uematsu. I don't think anyone's going to beat this one for that. You can give it all the modern graphics and everything, but good luck topping this one for music. And I know, fans of the other games, everyone's got their own preference, but I just don't see it. The end. Alright. Well, other than one more thing that Brave New World has done with their password system, that is the end, and unless I find something that I really feel like warrants another video, I think I'm going to call it here. So thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you have enjoyed the series. It's a nice long RPG, and I had a lot of fun. Don't mind some of the sections where I was getting a little bit salty because of the difficulty. I had a great time. And part of it was just playing it blind. You know how it is. Sometimes things catch you off guard, and everyone dies. So once in a while. All right, folks. That's it. See you next time. See you for the next Let's Play. Hope you've enjoyed and all that. Yada yada. Have a great day. Play the game if you haven't yet. Go play Final Fantasy VI. Come on. Maybe check out Brave New World if you're into it.